Hi, I'm AJ with Convivium Urban Farmstead in Dubuque, Iowa, and today we're going to talk about pruning tomatoes. So when you're pruning your tomatoes, first and most importantly, remember to not prune your determinate tomatoes. Only prune your indeterminate tomatoes. That being said, the first step is to locate the first fruit cluster. I mean, obviously you have to let your tomato grow big enough that it's going to have its first fruit cluster. It's going to have some stuff that you're going to prune off. And so you're going to locate your first fruit cluster, and then you're going to identify the branching that went on right below that first fruit cluster, which is right here. And then below that, you're going to remove everything else, the leaves and the suckers. So really quick, I want to show you that this is a fruit cluster and this is a branch. So now I want to look over here and point out what a sucker looks like. What a sucker looks like. In this case, here's a leaf, and from the axial of the leaf, or the upper armpit of the leaf, that is a sucker. So if you remember, there wasn't a leaf at the branching before, and in this case, here is our first fruit cluster right here. Right? Yes, here's our first fruit cluster. Now there's a leaf, but it's not at the base of this, so we know that this is a stem and not a sucker. So suckers produce flowers and fruit, but not as healthy and not as cleanly as stems do. And so we want to remove all of the suckers and all of the leaves, especially everything below that first fruit cluster. So I'm going to do that really quickly while I explain why. The reason you want to do this is because there's going to be rain and mud that gets splashed up on these leaves, and that's a really great way to get disease in your plants. So if we cut them off, there won't be anywhere for that, other than the stem, there won't be anywhere for that mud to splash up. Another reason that I personally like is just to keep it clean. Once I get all that cut away, now we can see the base of the plant. We can adjust our mulch accordingly, and now when a tomato drops off the plant, we don't have to go searching for it. It'll be laying right here. Also, when I water this, I'm less likely to get water on the leaves. When you clip them up a little bit, I'm going to cut this one off a little bit too. There we go. Alright, so now that we've cut everything off below the first flower cluster, we're going to go along each of the stems and remove all of the suckers. Now again, a sucker is the one that comes at the axial of the leaf, and so that little buddy right there is a sucker, and that's small enough that we can just pinch them out. Once they get a little bit bigger, unless you have a really nice thumbnail, and I don't, but yeah, once they get a little bit bigger, you can still pinch them out, but you can also just use your clippers. So now here's a fruit cluster, and below that is a branch. So I'm going to leave this one instead of cutting it out. But on this side, you can see this great big sucker right here. It's coming from the axial of the leaf, and we're going to get our clippers in there and snip that out. And that again is a branch because it's below the leaf cluster, and so we'll leave that. And now we're going to politely, gently train that up onto the trellis, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks and we'll look for more suckers.